Hi, a film I've been looking forward to seeing for really quite a few years now and has finally been released in the UK with almost no fanfare of any kind, is Confess Fletch. It's the third film based on the character of Erwin M. Fletcher, known as Fletch, created by Gregory Mcdonald in the series of mystery novels published from the 1970s. If you're aware of the character, it probably would have been through the two previous films starring Chevy Chase, Fletch, based on the first book in the series, and Fletch Lives, an original script from 1989. Fletch in those films and in the original novels is a Los Angeles based investigative reporter who gets involved in all kinds of criminal goings on and has to unravel various mysteries, whilst staying one step ahead of the game, sleeping with attractive women, and making a series of quips and amusing remarks. These Chevy Chase films, I think, have generally dated very well, but they lean more towards broad comedy. Chase as a gift for slapstick. And Confess Fletch has been in development for decades. Kevin Smith was planning on doing a version with Jason Lee. I think Jason Sudeikis was attached for a long time. It finally reached the screen earlier this year, co-written and directed by Greg Mottola, and starring and produced by Jon Hamm as Fletch, who's actually older than Chase was when he played his two films. This is again adapted from one of the other books in the series, and it sees Fletch no longer working for a newspaper, instead working on a novel about a famous Italian painter. However, his Italian girlfriend gets involved with a kidnapping because her father is snatched and the kidnappers are demanding some of his valuable paintings for ransom. However, those paintings have been stolen, and, and Fletch, following a lead to Boston, tries to track them down. However, when he checks into the house that he's rented, this is complicated. When he checks into the house that he's rented, he finds a dead body on the floor and is suspected of murder. Everything is complicated, everything has to tie together. This, incidentally, is the first 10 minutes of the film. It's a very complex movie with a very complex plot. For the most part, I found it very enjoyable. Um, Chase, as Fletch, was a comedian delivering a performance, but Hamm is a comic actor embodying a character. So there's less of the big performance, there's less of the broad slapstick humour. Enjoyable though it was in the previous movie, here Fletch is verbally quick-witted. He has an amusing presence about him. We don't have the over-the-top disguises of the previous movie, but Fletch still goes undercover, gives false names, changes his appearance a little, but it's more sort of along the lines of tucking in his shirt and putting on a pair of glasses, or or simply pretending to be people he knows. So the tone is less of a broad comedy and more of a comic mystery. There are some very fine supporting performances. Marcia Harden, Kyle MacLachlan, Roy Wood Jr. as a stand-in for a regular supporting character to who they don't own the rights to anymore. Um, and for the most part, as I say, it's very enjoyable, very entertaining. It moves along at a fair clip. Ham is very entertaining, very personable. You can understand why he is such a lady killer and why he is so smooth and charming. And he's just a great screen presence. But it falls apart in the last 15 minutes because, and I'll try to avoid spoilers. The resolution of the mystery is so badly handled that I really had no idea what was going on. Everything does tie together in a way that probably makes a lot more sense on the page in the original book, but explanations are garbled. It's done piecemeal by various characters in various scenes. There's no coherence to the ultimate resolution of the plot. And it seems to drag on for some minutes or several scenes past where the story finishes, as though they didn't really know how to end the story, despite the fact they're working on it from a book. And it really soured the whole film. I mean, it's one of a series of books, so it's no surprise that Fletch ends the book alive. I don't think that's a spoiler. Um, but aside from that, it's really hard to work out who was in on what, who was trying to trick who, and why, and what anyone's motivation was. And there are twists on top of twists that aren't properly explained again. And then there's another twist which doesn't make sense either. And it was incredibly hard to piece together exactly what I was supposed to be looking at. The result was really disappointing. It's 75 or maybe 80% of a really good comedy mystery thriller. A great lead performance, great supporting performances, looks fantastic, clearly shot during lockdown, because a lot of the scenes have not many people in them. And there is, in fact, verbal reference to the pandemic and working from home that actually becomes relevant to the story, which I thought was an interesting use of that. It's a post-pandemic movie, but it completely disintegrates in that final stretch. And when your mystery can't resolve itself in a way that the audience can understand, you have a big problem. I don't have a great deal of confidence in there being another movie that's good. Apparently, work is underway on adapting another of the Fletch movies, another of the novels. Um, Confess Fletch did not do well. It had a very small release in the US and effectively went straight to Paramount Plus. It's had a cinema release in the UK, but hasn't even been promoted. I haven't seen a trailer. I haven't seen any posters. The only reason I knew it was coming out is because I keep an eye on these things. A casual cinema goer would have no idea. So I don't really expect there to be another one. With Hamm as star, it could absolutely work. He was a great choice, and he really gives the character a modern feel that is consistent but separate from what Chevy Chase did. But the script is a disaster. It is badly written and badly plotted, and you need a new writer, and I don't think there is one. So the originals I'd recommend. This one isn't awful, but that is a very, very weak bar to cross.